All right. Welcome back to episode 48 of the Punching Down podcast. I'm going to apologize in advance. Right now, I'm a little under the weather. I don't have COVID. Actually, I got tested because Ryan Long and myself, we were just in Orlando. We had shows in Orlando and Tampa, and I started coming down with I had this craziest sore throat. I couldn't believe it. My throat was like so sore. I was like, oh, I've been in Florida for a couple of weeks now. I'm like, I got it. I for sure have COVID. This is it. I got COVID again. I was going to be one of those double COVID people that you hear all about. And I made peace with it, but I was like, you know what? I might have COVID. We had these shows, and I was like, I can't go do these shows if I like legit have COVID. Interesting thing, because I have friends in Canada. One friend specifically, he's like, now this might have been a couple months ago, but he's like, I tried to get a COVID test and they asked me all these questions and then I didn't answer them right and they turned me away. Like basically they're like, COVID tests are precious in Canada. I don't even live in Florida. Okay. I'm not from America and I don't live in Florida. I went online. It's pretty impressive actually. I went online, city of Miami. Just looked up COVID tests near me. The city of Miami has these there's just like a parking lot not far from me. It was like a 10-minute drive. I drove over there, waited for 5 minutes, got a drive-through COVID test, and then they called me basically, 36 hours or 48 hours later. And they were like, you don't have COVID. But I thought for sure I had COVID. But anyways, I got a cold, which then I gave to Ryan Long. So, but it's interesting too. A very underrated use of Twitter, other than like ruining people's lives by getting them in trouble, is I had this like sore throat, and I'm like, I'm not feeling well, and then I straight up I just went on Twitter and I just searched the term sore throat, and then you see all these people who are talking about it who are like, yeah, I have a sore throat, but I got tested and it's not COVID, and I was like, oh, it's probably not going to be COVID, but for sure for a minute I was like. Just with COVID right now, you're like, and it's hard to have a cold. Like I was joking about it on stage, but I'm like, it's hard to have a cold right now. Like you're almost better, especially in Florida, just being like, yeah, I'm just have a crippling cocaine addiction. Don't worry about this. It's just my crippling cocaine addiction. Don't have a cold. But anyway, so we're I don't know, 5 days into the 7. We're into it. I'm hopefully going to be better soon. I had a fun time in Florida, or what am I saying in Florida? Tampa and Orlando. Great shows. Both of them were pretty much sold out. Good shit. All right. So some update on the NBA Topshot. I'm sure people are wondering. The guy who won it, he finally contacted me. And so he's going to get his Topshot, which is... The Topshot market's crashed. I wouldn't say it's crashed. They made all these changes to, like the rules of like how you could buy Top Shots and stuff on it. Like you can't, they made it like there's only a certain amount of transactions that you're allowed to do like per day. There's all these weird rules. But so currently that Top Shot, my account has gone down a lot. But currently that Top Shot is worth $24. It was as high as I want to say probably somebody paid $100 for this Top Shot 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks. Yeah, probably 2 weeks ago. Yeah, probably 2 weeks ago. That was like when the height of it. So it's come down quite a bit. I wouldn't go as far as to say the Top Shot market has crashed, but it's dipping. It is dipping. It is definitely taken quite the dip. But that's cool. GameStop is currently... I feel like I just have to update GameStop. I feel like that's become part of my identity. It's just the price of GameStop, even though I don't own any GameStop. I almost bought it. So here's a cautionary tale in case you're watching GameStop and you're like, maybe I'm going to dip a toe into the GameStop waters. So it's currently $260, which is absolutely outlandish. I've seen so many people who are like, yeah, there's something clearly broken in the stock market with GameStop being $260, and I can't help but agree with them. I don't know what. I mean, you can't, if people want to pay that price for something, who are you to tell them they shouldn't be able to pay that price? I don't know. I'm not that person. Go for it. But so yesterday, it's currently Thursday night, late Thursday night, on March 11th. Yesterday, I'm watching. So I bought. Here's what I did last week in all the carnage, and it's kind of bummed me out. So I used to own a lot shares of Tesla, and then I got shaken out of them last year. I think I talked about this on the podcast, and I never got back in because it just was going so high, and I'm like, I can't get back into Tesla, right? And then last week, I finally got back into Tesla. The market cratered. I got in around $600. And I was like, all right, I'm back in Tesla. Pretty excited about that. And then I ended up selling my Tesla on yesterday, actually, on Wednesday, because it went up there's almost like an odd thing. It's like, because I wanted to hold it for longer, but it just went up too much too quickly for a company that's like that big, where you're like, it has to come down. So I like what I essentially did is, in case anybody gives a shit, not that maybe you don't, but maybe you do. I bought it at 600, and then yesterday it opened at like 700, and then I use moving averages. Moving averages are usually a good sign of like good buy and sell points. Sometimes, like, you want to buy or sell at moving averages. But anyway, so it touched the 50-day moving average, and then I was like, you know what? It's up, like, at this point, this is 7:15. I'm like, I'm up 20% in 3 days or something. I'm like, that's just too much, too fast. So I just said fuck it, and I sold it at 710, and then that day it went down to like 660, and now it's back at 700. Will it be a good decision? I don't know. But anyway, so I freed up some money. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should buy a little GameStop, because I was watching GameStop yesterday. And here's the worry about GameStop, which you should be just concerned about. So I'm watching GameStop, and it's kind of just like going up pretty orderly. It just keeps going up, and you're like, you look at it, and here's the thing. I don't day trade a lot. Occasionally, if I'm just like bored, I'll do it. But I try not to, because it's like, it's just a surefire way to lose money sometimes. You got to be really disciplined too. But I was kind of getting like a little bored. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just do a little quick little GameStop day trade. And here's my thought process. It was at 3. This is so funny too, because this is how, like, and thankfully I didn't, but it was at 345. And I remember I was like, you know what? I'll buy some at 345 because I just made some money on Tesla, and then I'll just put a stop in right away. You put a stop loss in, and then, that's, you set the limit that you can lose, right? And it seems fairly foolproof. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, you're not actually about to buy GameStop at $345. Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, that was the next thought I had, is like, the rational in me goes, you're about to pay $345 for GameStop? Are you crazy? So then I didn't, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to watch it. And not even exaggerating, it hit $348.50, and then it just falls off a fucking cliff. It just, like, within, not even exaggerating, it hit. So from the point where I thought to buy it, where I like had the thought where I go, maybe I should buy GameStop. Maybe, I don't know, 4 minutes later, it hit $348, and then 5 minutes after that, it was down to 300. So it had lost 15% in 300. So, I mean, if you set a stop, you'd be fine. And then it got halted. And so basically what happens is the stock market has these, like, they're called circuit breakers, where if a stock gets too volatile, the stock market will just like be like, you know what, you can't trade this for the next, I think it's like 5 to 7 minutes. Basically lets everybody, get their senses to be like, you know what, just think about what's going on here. Calm down. We don't need anybody like panic selling. Just chill for 5 minutes. We'll reopen it in 5 minutes. And, maybe people are like, just decide. So anyways, reopens, tanks again, gets halted again. Then it reopens and keeps getting halted. Went all the way down to $172. And so the thing with those stops is like, you could be like, oh, I'm going to set a stop for $350, and then it gets halted, and then it just opens at 300, and you're like, yeah, that's what you're getting. You're getting 300 for it, and you're getting fucked. But it got, as low as someone sold it at 172.06. It literally went down 50% in, like not exaggerating, in 12, 15 to in 25 minutes. It like, which is just insane. Like on no news, nothing. This is just the stock that people want to gamble on right now, which is cool. I mean, again, you want to like, so I saw something where someone was talking about this, where it's like the stock market is like, it's really at this point with Robinhood, like it's just competing with DraftKings. It's just like it's just a gambling app. It's just a different form of gambling. But, like obviously investing is investing, and, investing isn't gambling, but like you can definitely get some fucking action in the stock market, some real gambling action. And I guess that's just what's going on. For whatever reason, GameStop is that stock, because there is, it's not like tons of people are shorted anymore. There's no reason that it should be $260. And if you own it and you're up on it, I really recommend selling it. Moving on. But if you think it's going to moon, if you think it's going up, fucking hold it. I mean, diamond hands. If you've had diamond hands up until this point, you're doing pretty well. Although I would say that like if you were someone who owned it at like $20 and then you rode it all the way to 483 and then it went back to 350 and you are still fucking holding it, like that is just balls of steel. Absolute balls of steel. So good for you if you've held it. To the world of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. I'm more of a fungible token guy. I don't even know what that even would entail. But the world of NFTs, that Beeple dude, which I've talked about him, he does like all that art. A lot of it's like this, just like has Trump in it and stuff. And he sold like a piece for like $6.6 million recently. And he just had an auction. So he's done one piece a day for the last 5,000 days. He started in 2007. He's like, I'm going to make one piece of digital art every day. And then he sold this piece at Christie's auction house for one piece. And it was like a mosaic, I guess, or whatever, of all 5,000 in one piece. It sells this thing for $69 million for one digital, like, painting, I guess, whatever, digital piece of art, which is fucking crazy. Considering you could be like, I could buy like, I don't know, like a Van Gogh. You could legit buy like probably a couple Van Goghs for that kind of money. Like you could buy like, you could start for $69 million. You could start like a decent museum. Like where you like, people will go in, this is a pretty good museum. For $69 million, you could get a decent museum off the ground. And someone, I mean, I was talking to my friend Enrique. We were talking about this on the Hard Money podcast. Realistically, it's someone who just, especially the fact that it's 69 million, like someone's like, it wasn't 69 million didn't have a 420 anywhere in there. So it probably wasn't Elon Musk who bought it, but it's probably someone who just like made a shit ton of money off of Bitcoin. And they're like, it's just all fake to them. It's just all fake money. And, now they own this thing for $69 million, but fuck, that is a crazy amount of money to spend on. You can't even like display it in your house. It's not like, I mean, I guess we'd never find out who bought it, but that is real crazy. And then Topshot is making it into the news right now. Of course, Topshot's making it into the news. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal did this piece on this. They go, the whales of NBA Topshot, and this kid, I don't know if he's a kid. I think he's a kid. He's like, I think he said he's 27. He bought a fucking 100. Like in September, he goes, he just had basically he says he's like a degenerate gambler is how he classifies himself. And he just kind of had an inkling that this was going to be a big deal. So he dropped 175, or he's 31 years old, this dude. And he dropped 175 grand on NBA Topshot. Because he just had like an inkling that and I mean, like, imagine like you have that much disposable income. You go, I don't know, I think this might be something. Granted, good on him, even though you still can't really like withdraw your money. Some people can, but it's like, it's still hard to get your money out. The market has come down a lot, like but it was a really crazy high. So it's not that crazy that it's come down. But anyways, he turned 175,000 into $20 million worth of fucking digital basketball cards, which realistically could be worth $50,000 in a year. Who knows? Like, again, I've said this on the podcast so many times, but if that in a year from now you go, yeah, remember that Topshot thing and they're worth nothing. Everybody's just afraid to miss out on the next Bitcoin. That's all it is. They're afraid that they're missing out on the next Bitcoin, the next Ethereum or whatever. So we'll see. But that's that on Topshot. If anybody here buys them, I don't know. I haven't bought any new ones. I got one of those like pack things. It's like $14, and then I don't know. If you get one, it's just like free money. Like my friend Chris Faga, comedian, he got one of those $200 packs, and then inside of it, he had like legit like a $2,000 card, and it's like pretty normal because they're just the demand for them is just so insanely high. So sweet Topshot. All right, that's it for the world of finance. We're gonna move to more fun topics. So this is the best because we actually did a joke about this on Hard Money. Like, remember when Trump, his last days in office, and then the My Pillow guy visited him, and then the My Pillow guy was like talking about martial law. Remember the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, who was like literally his whole life is just falling apart because he went so crazy and he got kicked off his social media and all this shit. So then I don't know if this is today or this is pretty recently, 2 days ago, he went on a podcast, Mike Lindell, and basically, he went on Charlie Kirk's podcast, which is like some right-wing podcast thing, obviously. And then he goes, I'm starting my own social media company. You know how hard, like, just think about it this way, because people don't get it. It's like, you know, Parler and Gab, it's like, they spend a lot of money on these things, and they fucking blow. Like, they don't work on the phones. Granted, I think it's because, like, they're being limited. But, like, even when nobody was in their business, they sucked. It takes an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of manpower to make a social network work, like, decently. It's just like people, you know, you use Twitter, and you're like, oh, this is great. Works perfectly. And you don't realize, you're like, yeah, this costs a fucking shit ton of money and tons of people to make this operate this way. So anyways, this dude Mike Lindell, he's literally like, I'm starting my own Twitter, which is, again, it's like, he's like, we're an unrestricted Twitter, which is just Parler or Gab or whatever the fuck. And then he says, you will not need YouTube. You won't need these places, CEO added. So it'll be where everything can be told, because we've got to get our voices back. People will be able to talk and not walk on eggshells. Again, that's pretty much Twitter, unless you say like the craziest shit. And then he said that he's like, it's going to be up and running. Where is it here? He says it's going to be up and running in the next couple of weeks, which are like, unless you've been building this for, I don't know, 3 years or something, you're like, this is going to be the biggest piece of shit. Watch me like 3 months from now being like, hey, everybody just follow me on the My Pillow. What's even like, it's going to be called My Pillow 2 or something. Like, it's going to have My Pillow in the name, or it's going to be the biggest piece of shit. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. I'm giving him free publicity for his shitty social network. It's not going to happen, though, so it doesn't matter. Boy, Cuomo's back in the news. That's exciting. He's getting it bad. Honestly, I was talking to somebody about this, and it's like, because remember all like imagine how cringy there are. You know, there's like women who have like underwear that say Cuomo sexual on them because he was like the darling of COVID. Remember, just people were like, oh, he's going to run for president. He could be next president. He like had what a 180 his career has taken, huh? He could do no wrong. And now today or yesterday, he had a female aide said he aggressively groped her at the executive mansion. And he's had like 10 different claims of like sexual harassment. He's basically saying like it's bullshit, but then everybody's like, yeah, but you got to believe all women. So what do we do, Cuomo's? But the idea that there's people with like fucking Cuomo sexual like shirts and stuff, and they're like, let's go to the thrift shop. There's gonna be a lot of Cuomo sexual shirts in the thrift shop coming up. That's a guarantee. That is gonna be a hot thrift shop item, is the Cuomo sexual shirts, unfortunately for him. But he's getting killed. But the thing is like, you know, I guess he was always this guy, but he just always had Trump to like deflect away from him. You're like, look, you know, like I'm the good guy. Trump's the biggest piece of shit. And then Trump goes away, and he just loses this crutch. Like if he had Trump right now, if Trump was still on Twitter, almost like, because Trump would be like rubbing it in, like Trump would be like, it's not so easy, and like believe all women, and then people would be like, oh, Trump's such a piece of shit, that they would almost like go easier on Cuomo just based on Trump just probably like, being a piece of shit and rubbing the salt in the wounds. But Trump's gone, so Cuomo's just fucking getting hammered on this, and now they're talking about impeaching him, which is if someone told me 6 months ago, they go, Cuomo's going to be impeached in the next 6 months, you'd be like, what? No, it's impossible. Cuomo? He could never be impeached. I'm a card-carrying homosexual. I would never allow him to be impeached, but that's what's happening. Again, I'm sure it's not going to happen. And he's saying, he's just denying it. He goes, deny. Alex Jones, I was listening to Alex Jones on Andrew Schultz's podcast, and he was basically saying that, like, it's all like his handlers who they just don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that they, killed all these people in nursing homes. So then they're just saying, like, drumming up these fake sexual harassment things so they can kind of deflect away from the tens of thousands of people who kind of died as a result of Cuomo's policies, which is an interesting theory, I suppose. If you get a chance to listen to that podcast, holy shit, does that guy get wasted. He's funny too. I normally don't talk about other podcasts on my podcast, but go listen to Alex Jones. It's me and Ryan have this studio in Miami where we're working, and Schultz and them, they have their studio in the same building, and we were there that day, and Alex Jones, I guess, was in the building. You think if you were in a building with Alex Jones and he was getting wasted, you would know, but somehow that was kept from us. But yeah, he gets demolished on this podcast. It's pretty interesting. He highly recommend giving it a listen. But yeah, so Cuomo's getting the fucking shaft. Speaking of Trump, by the way, still not back on social media. So he's relegated to these really shitty press releases. He just does these press releases where he's like, it's so funny. It's like statement. So he has the office of Donald J. Trump. It has this like presidential seal. It looks pretty shitty. Like he could really use like some graphics or like a Photoshop guy or something. Just someone to jazz it up a little bit for him, because this looks like, honestly, pretty shitty. So, and this is yesterday. It says statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th president of the United States of America. And so he's issuing press releases that are just tweets. Like because he doesn't have Twitter anymore, but he still has thoughts that are Twitter worthy. So he has to just go issue tweets, but in press release form. So this is the thing. It says, I hope everyone remembers when they're getting the COVID-19, often referred to as the China virus vaccine. And it's like, yeah, often referred to by you, but that if I wasn't president, you wouldn't be getting that beautiful, I love how he uses it. He goes, that beautiful shot, and shots in quotation marks where you're like, why is shot? That beautiful shot. It's still just a shot. He goes, you wouldn't be getting that beautiful shot for 5 years at best, and probably wouldn't be getting it at all. I hope everyone remembers. He still got it. I mean, the idea that he thinks that if it wasn't for him, nobody in America would be getting even a single COVID vaccine for 5 years is preposterous. Like, they are getting them in every country in the world is getting them. Now, I guess what he's saying is the Operation Warp Speed that he just dumped a shit ton of money into that, got the COVID vaccines. But, that was for some companies, not every. There's other vaccines in the world that aren't, Russia has their own vaccine. It had nothing to do with Trump. There's countries that have vaccines unrelated to Trump, but that's crazy. But, I guess we'll see if we get more press releases from Trump until they... I wonder if they'll reinstate his Twitter. I was saying it would be so funny if they give him his Twitter back and then he just becomes like a Joe Biden reply guy where he's just all in the Joe Biden tweets, like just replying to Joe Biden tweets, being like, I did it better, Joe. We'll see. I know people are missing him. Like, he's been gone long enough where people are like, you miss him a little, don't you? Don't you know what you want to know what he's up to? Getting these press releases, they're just not doing the trick. Here's a world of sports. A lot of cancel culture stuff this week. This is like literally my last, and again, it's not cancel culture. It's repercussions, I suppose. But so, again, I apologize for being sick. Excuse me. Leonard, who plays for the Miami Heat. Not a fan of the Heat. Go Raptors. He has a Twitch channel where he video games. And, you know, he plays, I don't know what he's playing. I think Call of Duty or something like that. But he has this live channel, which is pretty ballsy for a professional athlete because, like, you know, crazy shit gets said. And so he was playing, and I guess people were sniping him or something. And so then he goes, fucking cowards, don't fucking snipe me, you kike bitch. And I guess people were like, what? And so he got in a lot of shit for that. He got suspended. I mean, like, the owner of the Miami Heat, the team is Jewish, and he's like, oh, I didn't even know what that meant. Which, you know what? I honestly believe that. Like, normally I would just be like, really? But, like, that is not, like, I've been called a kike for real, never. No one's ever legitimately called me a kike. I've heard that word used, but it's pretty rare. Not a lot of people are dropping the kike word. It's pretty uncommon. So I could totally be like, he just doesn't. I mean, maybe he does. The funniest burn on him too was when this happened, and then so people were like, you know, lighting him up on Twitter or whatever, and then there's a photo, and people were like, can you believe this is the guy who said kike on a stream? And it was like when they were doing the anthem or whatever in the bubble last year, and it was every player on the Heat kneeling except for him, and he was standing, and people were like, can you believe this is the guy who said kike? And you're like, that's a bad look right there, pal. That's not a good look for you, Leonard. But, and then this is a really funny thing too, is so NBC Sports, they covered the story, and then they wrote out you know, the transcript of what he said. And so it says, fucking cowards. Fucking has 3 asterisks in it. It says, don't fucking snipe me. And again, fucking has 3 asterisks in it. And it says, you kike. And kike is spelled just K-I-K-E. It's spelled normally, no asterisks. And then bitch is B 4 asterisks. So they're like, kike, they left, and bitch, they were like, could only put the B in bitch, which they obviously, I'm sure someone brought that to attention. You go, that's so weird way of editing that. Interesting choice of leaving that in. Interesting though, kike is a weird one because, and I've always said this, that I found this so funny, but on the LA Dodgers, there is this baseball player. His name is Kike Hernandez, but his name is spelled K-I-K-E. Like, there's a little like hat accent thing on there, but other than that. Or no, sorry, maybe it's an accent. There's some sort of like, you know, one of the letters has an accent. But literally his name's spelled Kike Hernandez. He just pronounces it Kike. But it's like, you know, in English it says Kike. And you're like, I don't know. Nobody's ever been like, you know what, dude, you got to change your name. And he's like, it's pronounced Kike. I don't know. It's my name. But it, you know, it is weird to see it on, you know, you're watching a Dodgers game and it's just like, up next, Kike Hernandez. So, anyways, he's going to be canceled for a bit. I don't know why I believe that he didn't know. I feel like he legit. It's just like, that's just a gamer word, you know? It's just a word that people say. And so many people in the comments were like, yeah, you ever play Call of Duty? It's like, it's just the lobby of Call of Duty or whatever the fuck. That's just what you're hearing. Talked about Dr. Seuss last week. Dr. Seuss getting canceled. Funny enough, my friend, who he listens to this podcast, he's probably listening to this right now. But I was saying last week, I was like, man, these things are going to become valuable. And then he had a bunch of these that he bought for his like newborn son. He's like, I bought them for like, I don't know, $5. This whole thing of Dr. Seuss books. And now he owns all these ones that are like valuable. And he put them up for sale privately because I guess eBay wasn't allowing it. Like those 6 specific books, he put them up. And I think he said he got an offer of $1,000 for all 6 books that he paid like $5 a piece for. And he's like, should I sell them? I'm like, definitely sell them. I guarantee you in 6 months from now, people will be like, why the fuck did I buy 6 Dr. Seuss books for $1,000? That's pretty fucking stupid. Quite. But so this week they're canceling. It's like they're canceling a new cartoon every week. It's bullshit. It's not even bullshit. It's like I have to pretend like I care. You're like, oh my god, they're canceling. It's weird too. The reason they cancel things, like they'll cancel someone, because it's like they'll cancel so they're canceling Pepe Le Pew. If you didn't know, and this is at IGN, which is like some gamer and whatever channel. This is just such a funny like take on it. They go, Pepe Le Pew, the controversial French skunk from Looney Tunes, will no longer appear in Space Jam, a new legacy after his scene was cut. And you go, first off, he's not controversial French skunk. When has he ever been a controversial French skunk? But it's because he's like, the issue with him is that he's like, a little pushy with the women, which Dave Chappelle did a bit about this 25 years ago. I don't know. Yeah, literally probably 25 years ago, he did this joke about, he's like, Pepe Le Pew's a fucking rapist. He did this joke. It's so old. And, he said it forever. And yeah, he is he is fucking super pushy. And so I guess they're like, all right, we're just going to remove Pepe Le Pew. But you're like, okay, fair. But isn't the Roadrunner like a murderer? Doesn't the Roadrunner basically murder Wile E. Coyote? He, it's such a weird line where they go you could, you could blow up someone, and you're like, oh, that's fine. He's blowing him up, but it's a cartoon blowing up. You go, yeah, but this cartoon's a little pushy with this skunk is a little sexually pushy with this cat, and you go, oh yeah, that's not cool. But it's also a cartoon. It's murder is fine. They're because murder, well, that's just outlandish. You're what are you, cartoon characters is not, people are going to murder. There's nothing wrong with that. And then he's like, oh, but this skunk is a bit of a rapist. We got to get rid of him. So, because Pepe Le Pew's gone, which I guess, I don't know. I can't imagine there are many real world rapes that, if you really just went back in time and tried to really get to the root of that real world sexual assault, that it would be someone be like, you know what? I think it was from all that Pepe Le Pew that all that Bugs Bunny and Friends. Was it Bugs Bunny? Yeah, I think it was. Or Looney Tunes, something like that. So anyways, sorry, my voice is getting hoarse. I'm going to have to cut this a little short this week, but we got a couple more things and then we will wrap this up. This is so funny. Again, and I don't even know if this is cancel culture, but this is the fucking lamest shit ever. So, Winston Marshall from the band The Kings of Leon, who, tying it back to earlier, they released their album as an NFT, which I said, I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that means, an album as an NFT, but good for you. So, he went on Twitter, and he basically endorsed. This is so crazy. He endorsed a book. He goes, hey, I read that Andy Ngo, that journalist who covers Antifa in Portland. He goes, I read that Andy Ngo book. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know the exact thing he said, but basically he said, he's like, it's a good book. You should read it. And then got killed for it on Twitter, where people are like, how dare you? You're going, he is against Antifa. So what are you, a fascist or something? And then the guy, the whole thing blows up in his face. Everybody's just killing him. And this guy's the banjo player from fucking Kings of Leon. And then he had to post an apology. He goes, over the past few days, I've come to better understand the pain caused by the book I endorsed. It's not fucking Mein Kampf. Literally, you can. So he got in the exact same amount of trouble for endorsing this book as if he just endorsed Mein Kampf. If he goes, you know what, I read Mein Kampf, some decent ideas in there. There were some, honestly, a little bit of it was a little bit out there, but some not bad ideas in Mein Kampf. He got in the exact amount of trouble, same amount of trouble that he would have got had he literally endorsed Mein Kampf or Andy Ngo's book about Antifa or whatever the fuck it is. He goes, I have offended not only a lot of people I don't know, but also those closest to me, including my bandmates, and for that I am truly sorry. As a result of my actions, I am taking time away from the band to examine my blind spots. For now, please hope that I realize how my endorsements have the potential to be viewed as approvals of hateful, divisive behavior. I apologize, as this was not at all my intention. Ridiculous. It would be so funny, too, if he goes, and I'm going to donate all the proceeds of my next tour to Antifa. And then they're like, well, we're not really an organization. It's funny because they always say, we're not an organization. He goes, well, I have all this money. I go, well, we'll figure out a way for you to get it to us. Don't worry about that, Winston Marshall. But it's like, what a lame thing. You're like, you're like a fucking rock star, and you're like, hey, I like this book, and they're like, you're out of the band. You can't like a book. You can't say you like this book. Just kicking you out of a band. It's like, just honestly, it's just like a lame thing. Like, you're supposed to be a rock star, and like, I mean, just the fact that you're like, just the fact that you're saying, you're like, hey, this is a cool book. Check this out. It's like, it's about how Antifa operates or whatever. And then, I mean, that's just a lame thing. Like, you can read a book. You don't have to fucking go on Twitter. And then but then even worse to just, take the canceling, being like, I accept my canceling and I apologize. Really ridiculous. And then another cancel thing, and this is the last thing. Teen Vogue, which, if you don't know, is people pretend like it's the real journalism. I've seen so many times on Twitter where people are like, you do not know the real hard-hitting journalism that's going on in Teen Vogue. And then it's like, how to suck 7 dicks in one night. And you're like, wow, pretty sick, Teen Vogue. Real hard-hitting journalism. So they hired this new editor. Her name was Alexi McCammond. She's black. I don't know if she's full black, but she's at least half black. And then she had to apologize because I guess staff, because the staff is like, a Teen Vogue is like super woke. So what happens is they hire an editor, and then all her new colleagues decide they're going to go through all of her old tweets, because they're like, it's almost like, it feels like a very untrusting, cool environment. It's not like a cool environment. It's like, hey, we have a new employee. You go, oh, let me just go through all of your tweets, and then we'll get back to you. So they go through all her tweets, and then she had some racist and anti-gay tweets from when she was like 17 years old. She's only 27 now. But these were them, and so she had to like apologize and basically be like, I'm sorry, I'm racist. They lost like some big ad deal worth like over $1 million, like a 7-figure ad deal that they lost. And again, this is probably a person who has, enjoyed canceling a lot of people, so it's hard to feel bad for her. But these are the tweets, because I was like, racist. But then you hear that she's black, and you're like, damn, you're getting fucking black people canceled for being racist. And again, it should be how it is. It's like, this should be for everybody, where it's like, you can't just do it to one people. Obviously it was not like anti-white racism. That would be something. That would be it. I'd be like, you know what? I'm locking off for the internet forever. If you are canceling people for anti-white racism, I'd be like, that's it. We've reached the end of it. No more internet. But so this is what her tweets were, which were so controversial. The first one says, give me a 2 out of 10 on my chem problem. Cross out all of my work and don't explain what I did wrong. Thanks a lot, stupid Asian TA. You're great. Okay, so I guess you could have just said stupid TA. It's weird because, yeah, you didn't need the Asian part, but if I'm reading this now and I have to like picture what's going on here, it adds a little bit. It would have helped if I knew the gender, because I'm like, was it a stupid male Asian TA or a female Asian TA, or is it one of those ones where it's like, sometimes they have, because they kind of have the same haircut, like if it's like a short-haired woman, it's hard to know. And then here's the new one, the next one. Now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes. You go, yeah, these are not the greatest takes. I'm like, should we ruin someone's life over this? And then here's another one. Outdone by Asian. Hashtag what's new. And you're like, yeah, not great. Not great tweets. I mean, thank God I'm never going to have to. I can only think of like, what the fuck would my Twitter have been like if I had Twitter when I was 17? Like, I would have probably said some crazy shit. Also, again, these people probably feel untouchable because you're like, if you're getting a big job like this, delete your tweets. It's not that hard. Like, going back and deleting your tweets is pretty easy. Really not that hard. But anyway, so this bitch is getting canceled. I'm sure nothing's going to happen to her, though, because, like, if she was white, she literally would be like, you are fired and you will never work again. But luckily, she's black, so she'll just probably get a slap on the wrist. Oh, excuse me. Okay, my voice is giving out here. It's starting to sting. So that is it for me for this week. I apologize for the brief episode. Oh, we did 40 minutes. Okay, that's all right. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry, I'm a little sickly right now. Probably back in the healthy next week, hopefully. Or maybe I actually do have COVID and it was one of those like false positives or negatives, sorry. And then I actually have COVID. And I might be dead next week. This might be the last episode ever. I don't know, but I don't think it will be. Thanks everyone for listening. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.